Hi, welcome to another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'm Cheryl and I'm in charge of the craft kits at the main library. And today's video is to accompany a kit that we'll be giving out starting October 1st, 2024. But if you don't live near the library and can't get a kit, or if you're watching this later on our YouTube channel, don't worry, I'll tell you everything that's in the kit so you'll know what you need to purchase to make this project. So what we're making today is this cute little autumn pumpkin, and it's made with fabric and it's filled with fiberfill, and it's super cute, good for Halloween or all autumn long. Okay, so the first thing you'll have in your kit is some sort of fabric, and this is going to be sewn into a tube like that. And this fabric, if you're buying your own, is cut into a 9 by 15 inch rectangle. It is folded over like this and sewn on this side. And that's how we got this tube. Another thing you'll have in your kit is a bag full of polyester fiberfill. You can buy this at the craft store, and this is what we're going to be used to stuff it with. You will have some jute twine pieces. You will have a set of 6 small pieces that are about 15 to 16 inches long. If you're doing this at home, you'll just need to make it a little bit longer than your tube. And then you'll have one piece that's longer than the others, and this one's about double. This is about 30 inches, and that's what we'll be using to wrap the stem. You will have several rubber bands. I have included more than you need, just in case one of them snaps while you're trying to use them. And this part is optional, but if you do want to curl the ends like this, you will have a thing of freezer paper which will be set down over here to keep the glue off the pumpkin while you stiffen them. You'll have the glue for stiffening and a brush to brush the glue onto it. Now you will need a pencil or two. This is what we're going to use to wrap the stiffened twine around to form it on. So you'll need 1 or 2 pencils, and you'll need a pair of scissors to cut off any excess twine. Now the part about the stiffening and the curling, that is completely optional. I've also seen these where people have pulled instead of twirling them and curling them into a spiral, I've seen ones where they've cut them out off and teased them apart so they have like little fuzzy pieces. And it's strictly up to you, and you're certainly welcome to just leave them as they are, and you can decide that at the end. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to take the bundle of 6 shorter ones, and we're going to take and tie a knot near the end. We're just going to wrap them all around into a knot and pull it tight to close to the end, but not all the way. You don't want it coming undone. Then we're going to take this and we're going to thread it into the tube so that it just sticks out the other end. Now we're going to gather this end up, just kind of gather it all up like this, and we're going to use one of the rubber bands. And we're going to, I'm going to double this because this is a fairly big one. And we're going to wrap it around. Don't get it too close to the end. You want about 1 inch from the end of the fabric. You don't want the fabric pulling out. And that one broke, which is why I gave you more than you need. You know how rubber bands are. Okay, that's fairly tight. Okay, so now we're going to pull this in, and we're going to use this long tail, and we're going to turn this inside out. So that's why we started with the seam exposed, because when you turn it inside out, that exposed seam will be nice and hidden. The reason we tied a knot in there is so that it wouldn't come out the rubber bands and you couldn't just pull it through. And that's why also why the rubber bands have to be fairly tight. And we're going to take our fiber fill, and you are welcome to use, you probably have more than you need. Some people like their plushy things a little bit more squishy, and some of them like them a little more firm. So I think I'm going to use maybe about 3/4 of what's in the bag. And you're going to scrunch it all down. You don't want to fill this all the way to the top, because we're going to gather this up and use this as the stem. So, do that here. Now, to form the little sections like this, I am going to spread out the 6 strands and bring them up to the top. And I'm going to gather this up, trying to squish all of the fiber fill down inside. I'm going to gather this up here, and one at a time I'm going to bring things up and around, and I'm going to try and space them out that way. See how that is? And I'm holding on to them. Okay. Now you don't have to pull these quite tight at first, just so that they stay in place. So now I have all of these up and spaced. Now I'm going to take another rubber band, and I'm going to wrap it around like this, making sure to pull it fairly firm. Now, here's where now I can adjust how it goes. I can pull up the fabric to make it a little bit more smooth. Then I can move my strings so that they are equal around. And then I can take the strings and tug them a little bit so that it pulls in and forms that wedge shape. Don't want to pull too hard, just enough that it kind of creases in. I think I like the way that looks now. So what I can do is I can take the ones that are next to each other, and I can tie them off into knots, and this will keep them at that tension. I'm just going to take 2 next to each other, and tie them into knots. All right, so I have those all tied off. Now I'm going to take my longer piece and unwind it. And I'm going to tie this around. I'm just going to come right down on top of those strings and tie this at the bottom of the rubber band, because we're going to cover up the rubber band. So you want to tie this pretty close to the end of the strand, just like that. Now the short piece here we're going to just grab and pull up with the stem. Long piece we're going to start wrapping around. Try not to get the other ones caught up in it. We're going to just wrap it up. And it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. And you don't have to make sure you cover every single little bit, because we're going to be going wrapping back down too. So we're going to get up near the top. And then we're going to wrap back down, covering up some of the open spaces that we left. Okay. When I get down near the bottom, I'll have this much left, and I'm going to grab one of these and I'm just going to tie it to one of those. And I'm going to trim off the little tiny extra. Now, what you want to do with these strands is up to you. You can cut them off like to a few inches and just leave them there. You can unravel them. But if you want to do the little spirally things like this, at this point you would put this down over here. You're going to pull up all of the end pieces. You're going to thread it through, put this down, and this is just to protect the pumpkin so you don't get any glue on the pumpkin, because the glue is kind of messy. And we are using just white glue, or you can use Mod Podge decoupage glue, something like that. And so you can just run a little glue down it. In fact, even if you don't mind getting your hands messy, you can even dip your fingertip in the glue and just run it down like this. You don't want it super soaking wet, but you just want a little bit tacky. And then you would wind this around pretty tightly. And I usually like to hold it here for a minute, because I don't put too much glue on it. If you put too much glue on it, it's going to take a lot of time to dry. I just put a little bit of glue on it, and then when I start to feel that getting kind of more tacky, I just gently slide this out, and I leave it like that to dry. And I would do that to each one of them and let them dry completely, and then I can pull this off, and then I'll have my little curlies. For this one though, I think I'm actually going to be doing the unraveling, so I'm going to cut off the to about 3 or 4 inches. So once they are all at the right length, we're going to be unspiraling them, untwisting them to form something that looks like this. And the easiest way to do that, because this jute or this twine has a very loose spiral, we're going to just, the easiest way to do it is if you look at it, it spirals the 3 strands together. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but the 3 strands spiral this way. So they spiral to the right. And so what I'll do is I'll just take my fingers and I'll twirl it the other direction to the left. And I'm going to hold it and twirl. And you'll see it actually starts to untwirl itself. And then I can grab one of the strands and pull it apart. And then do the same for the other. And that's probably the easiest way to get them untwirled. Okay, that's all of them. Now, if you want them even fuzzier, you can actually take like a brush or a comb and just kind of brush this out, and it will start to tease it out and get really fuzzy. It's all a matter of what you like the look of. Now, the last thing we're going to do for these is we're going to trim off the extra fabric. Don't cut, now be sure don't cut your twine, but just trim it right at the top of the, right above the twine. So there's my finished pumpkin. And you can see this one's a little taller. I started with a longer tube on this one. It was, I'd say, about 10 or 11 inches instead of 9 that will be in your kit. Another way you can do these is as a kind of an upcycling thing. If you've got any old button-down shirts that have long sleeves, if you have ones that you think would make a good pumpkin, you can actually just cut the sleeve off to the right length, and then you'll have your tube, and then you can use the twine on your sleeves. Okay, so thank you for viewing another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'm Cheryl. I'll see you next time. Bye.